successful in its 19th year and is Oscar qualifying. I am one of your three hosts today. I am Indiana Underhill, co-founder and a cinematographer of Cinematography for Actors. We have Floriane Anderson, one of our partners at CFA, who is a director and actor. We also have Haley Royal, who is an actor and co-founder of CFA. And most importantly, we have our guest with us today, who is Jonathan Miller, the producer of Publish or Perish. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I'm the most important, but I'm
you
glad
are
to
right
be here
now.
with you guys.
Right now, most important in the booth. We're under the spotlight.
Yes. Now we have, these are short interviews. We want to jam-pack them with information. However, we also want to dive into what Publish or Perish is about. Can you give us the log line or a bit of a summary?
Yeah, Publish or Perish is actually a dark comedy. It's written, directed by Emmy Award-winning producer David Liban. This is the first film that I've produced, and when I met him a couple years ago, he had won some awards during COVID for the script. And it's about a professor who is pursuing tenure, and I know more now than I did. It's very stressful, apparently, to pursue this for 7
I've
years.
heard, yeah.
Yeah, and then he accidentally backs up and kills a student, and then makes a series of bad decisions after that, which are comedic. We always say, dark comedy has to be funnier than it is dark, and I think this strikes the right balance. And we're super excited about the film, and it's going to be premiering this weekend and available on all the streaming platforms, Amazon.
Great.
So,
All the things.
Awesome. Congratulations. Now, getting into producing, what is your background in originally, if not producing?
Yeah, I am the founder and CEO of a company called Parsonex. So we are an investment firm, and the last few years we've been one of the fastest growing private companies in the United States.
Congratulations.
Or actually in all of the Americas, according to Financial Times.
Wow.
And so we do a lot of different things investment-wise. We have an amazing team. It's interesting the last few years because people see the glory, they don't know the story. It wasn't always that way. I was in college. I was actually a writer. I was a political science major, which is code for unemployed when you graduate,
Right.
unless you go to law school.
Yes.
But you do a lot of reading and a lot of writing, and I wrote for some papers, and so creativity has always served me well in business. And a few years ago, my wife and I, we talked about it and decided that we wanted to, pursue it. And at one point, we were thinking maybe in a few years, but with everything coming out, I didn't want to be getting started in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so we started developing some things. Was introduced to David Liban, actually as a potential writer for one of the concepts. Which since then, 3 years ago, I know now that development is the longest period of anything, and so that's still on the back burner. But I read his script, and I read a lot of scripts that I wasn't interested in, and we've made the film over the last couple of years, and it's been a great learning experience, and we're excited to show it to the world.
What was in the script that caught your attention?
A few things, I think. One is, I'm not actually, I wouldn't say, if you had asked me a couple years ago, do you like dark comedy as your genre? I like certain dark comedy films or shows, but I wouldn't say it was my preferred genre, and my wife definitely is not a dark comedy fan, but we all love this film because one is David Liban is an actual professor, so he's a tenured professor at the University of Colorado, Denver, and he's the head of actually the Department of Film and I'm not sure the exact, but at the University of Colorado, Denver, and I think just because he's been around, he's made films before. He won an Emmy for a documentary a few years ago. I think that it was structured very well. It was funny. That's probably the biggest thing. I just thought it was funny. It was weird, and it kept progressing, and there weren't really lulls and everything. And
you could see how it could connect to an audience.
Yeah. I liked it. And then people keep asking me, they're like, what are you doing next? What kind of films do you want to make? And I said, I want to make films that are fun, that I enjoy, and so that was kind of my criteria going into this, and it hasn't changed. But we're really excited about. We won a bunch of awards.
Fantastic! Congratulations!
That makes it fun.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten 6 best pictures at film festivals around around the world. So anyway,
that's great.
So you mentioned that you learned a lot, which I'm sure you know. It's a whole new industry for you. It may be hard to distill, but tell us, what was your favorite thing that you've learned?
Oh my gosh! I mean, that's so hard because it's so many things, right?
Give us a top 3.
Well, I'm actually on the panel. I'm hosting the panel on how to finance. So in the investment industry, we do a lot of things. We raise capital for private funds, things like that. So that piece was just learning the film component, and ultimately I realized certain differences and similarities. But I'll tell you a few things. So first of all, since you were actors, and we're doing a fundraiser actually as part of our release weekend to support SAG-AFTRA Foundation for this weekend.
Thank you.
It's gonna be,
Very grateful.
we're super excited about it actually, and but that I'll start with that. I was very involved with David, the director, and I saw all of the. We shot during COVID, so we did all the remote casting, and because in Colorado, there's not a lot of feature films necessarily. We had a lot of people from surrounding places that wanted to be a part of it, but I think that one revelation for me was that how much of a talent and a skill acting is. You could just absolutely see the difference between people who had more credits, and it's not like you just go out there and you have this natural talent. It's a skill that's refined and takes time and experience and knowing how to act in front of the camera and those sort of things. So that was one huge one, and so congratulations to you guys for being in that industry, because it's just so obvious when you see the different auditions and the people and the performances they bring. Then I think I didn't know what I didn't know going into it, and I would say that there's just so many people and so many things that have to happen. I just feel like we're constantly solving one challenge, whether it was COVID, running out of tests on set.
Right.
We couldn't find any in Denver at one point, and
goodness.
Nightmare.
You just solve problems.
Yeah.
I think, and then I don't know. I think then the last thing I'll just say, it's fun. On the weekends, I try not to do like stressful work, even though I'm the CEO of an investment firm.
Yes.
I try to do things that are fun, and I find myself working on things related to the film industry at times. Like it's work, but it's a hobby, and I enjoy it. And so, yeah, it's a fun industry. And
incredible
we're glad to be a part
to
of
be
it.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
What are you hoping the audience's biggest takeaways are for this film?
Well, the first one is I just hope that they're entertained.
Great.
And that they go and say, this is fun. And the feedback has been tremendous it's really fun to watch with audiences, I think. And so we're excited that we're going to be having it at the Beverly Hills Theater on Saturday as our premiere. We have a Twitter watch party Friday night, and the website is publisherparish.movie, so I think all the info is on there. But yeah, just that they enjoy the movie, that it's got twists in it, and it kind of keeps progressing.
Cool.
It's a fun ride, I guess I would say.
Awesome.
What would you say was your biggest challenge as a producer to make it come to life?
The biggest challenge was that when on the front end of this process, my wife and I, when we were getting into it, I didn't know what a producer did a few years ago.
Right.
So then when I kind of discovered it, I'm like, man, this isn't so different. And at one point, my wife and I were taking a walk, and I said, honey, I don't know if I've ever been prepared for something better in my life because just so much of the creative and the investment side and putting teams together, that was all good. But the biggest challenge to your question is, I think, I didn't know what I didn't know on the front end. I'm a fast learner, but there was a lot to learn and a lot of. But luckily, I surrounded myself with awesome people that were willing to share graciously and to help us with the project. We had so many people that were just graciously giving of their time to make this a success. University of Colorado, Denver, where David teaches, they actually supported it. We shot from this end of December through the third week in January when the students were gone.
Oh,
and
cool.
so now the downside is we had less light.
Yes.
Right? But
shorter days.
Yeah. And so David was constantly scrambling with we could use a couple extra days, but then but we got to use their facilities and we actually built one of the sets in one of their sound stages. So it was just great. I mean, a lot of people helped out a lot, and it was fun.
What I love is that you're mentioning so much about collaboration and the team that is involved in this production. And one of the things that we talk about at Cinematography for Actors with the majority of the filmmakers that come in is how do we bridge the gap between talent and crew, meaning that the best stories you're told when everyone is on the same page. And so it's so wonderful that you were able to gather a team with your director and have such a successful shoot, especially because you had so many night shoots, correct?
So, and that's the thing, is because of my day job and because of what I do, and I love what I do, by the way. We have an amazing team on the business side as well. But I wasn't on set that often. My wife was on set, actually, that pretty much most people said that was one of the coolest sets they've ever been on, because it was in the middle of a forest. I guess they had a huge light lamp that was like shading everything. It looked like just this eerie scene. And of course, it's only like 45 seconds. In the
It's
film
always
in the
like that,
end.
isn't it? Yeah.
I think we were leaving like 3 minutes of footage in for a while because we liked it so much.
It's
but-
always the toughest
Yeah.
sequences that you're like, okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna schedule this out. It's gonna be like gnarly,
Yeah.
and then in the film, the final film, it's like a minute or
Right?
something.
Yeah.
But it pays off. But it's
Yes.
a storytelling tool. But it's just fun to always hear that.
I'll tell you the one other thing that I learned
Yeah.
a lot. It was so you're asking about. I guess this is probably what I learned, but that the edit is the final rewrite, right? There's
Yes.
a lot of things that we
Totally.
got feedback from audiences initially. One scene in particular that I won't share because it would be a spoiler. But people were like, after one of the early screenings, were like, whoa. Like, they stopped rooting for... See, the main guy who you're rooting for is, kind of not... He makes bad decisions,
Right,
so you're
of
like
course, yeah.
you're conflicted. Like, do I
Yes.
like this guy? Do I
Yeah.
not like this guy? And we went in one of the scenes. It went too far for the audience, and they said they just kind of checked out. And so we completely changed it to where now it's a shocking moment, but also then a laugh right after.
Okay, cool.
But that's all done in the edit. So you can. It's amazing how you can retell the story and the interactions by editing well.
And what would you recommend, because we're about to wrap up, what would you recommend for anyone who's trying to get into film, who has a career in another part of this world, and wants to get into movie making? Do they just jump right in, or would you just what do you recommend to people?
So I am an entrepreneur at heart, and the partners in our firm, we're structured like a law firm with independent partners that have been with us for like 15, 16 years. They're just amazing people, and they're very entrepreneurial. And so in hanging around film people, I'm like, hey, this is an entrepreneurial environment because everybody really is kind of in business for themselves. They come together to work these projects. So I talk on business a lot. I would say, first of all, pursue what you're passionate about, right? But pursue it, in a way that you don't just wing it. You pursue it and you try to learn and you try to, immerse yourself and you can't give a half-hearted effort to anything, right? You have to be all in. And you adjust your path as you go along. But I think that being positive, being excited about the different things that we have this saying, we say excitement's like yeast. We're in the money business, it raises the dough. And, if you're not excited about what you're doing, nobody else, would be, I don't think. So for people that are trying to get into the business, one is there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And I think Elon Musk or a bunch of people say like, in business, you have to be passionate about it because it takes so much work to be successful at it that if you don't love the journey and you don't love the process, you're probably going to get burned out and quit at some point. So
Absolutely.
So
that's awesome.
I don't know if that helps or not.
Absolutely.
That's good
it
advice.
does.
Great
So-
advice.
Awesome.
Excitement raises the dough.
Excitement's like
Let
yeast,
that
it
be
raises
your
the dough, right?
takeaway.
Yeah, that's a good one,
Exactly.
right? Be excited.
Yes, thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us. Jonathan Miller is the producer of Publish or Perish, which is a feature that is coming out this weekend. Is that correct?
Twitter watch party at 7 o'clock on Pacific time on Amazon. So dial
Great.
in. I think if you go to the website, you can register and we can get to that. And if we'll also be giving away a bunch of tickets to the premiere. We have some reserved for folks at Hollyshorts. So
Awesome.
if
That's
you
so great.
talk to certain people, you can probably get some of those tickets.
Easter egg hunt begins now.
Find those tickets, everybody. Go.
Yes.
Go!
Go.
It'll be a blast. But it's
Awesome.
exciting to be here. This is awesome, by the way. What
Thank
you guys are doing, the
you.
entire place. It's just, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So
and
happy to have you.
Anytime. Publish or Perish, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. This has been another episode of the Cinematography for Actors podcast. Follow us on wherever you listen to your podcast to keep up to date on new episode releases. We will be live through August 20th here at Hollyshorts Film Fest. If you're here, drop in and say a little hello at the VIP lounge. We also want to thank our sponsors, Apogee, Film Tools, Roscoe, Lightstone Rentals, Canon, and First Mile Tech. As a special gift to you listeners, we've partnered with We Make Movies to get you a discount on comprehensive production insurance packages. Use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote by visiting wemakemovies.org/insurance.
If you missed any of our live streams, you can watch all of our interviews on our YouTube channel, Cinematography for Actors. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at Cinematography for Actors. You can also catch us in a more formal setting on Monday, August 14th at Japan House for a panel discussion on the importance of bridging the gap between talent and crew. You can get 20% off of your ticket purchase by using the code HSFF2023CFA at checkout.
Thanks!